Are you a suffering Game of Thrones fan who has restless nights thinking about the mind-boggling GOT theories? Calm down, we have made this entire video just talking about the theories that have become potential spin-offs. Let's discuss these brilliant theories which give Game of Thrones fans absolute food for thought. Number 10. Hodor's ancestry. A knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Hedge Knight. Even though Hodor's lineage may not have been a major concern for fans of the television series Game of Thrones, he was one of the most cherished characters, especially following his passing in Season 6. Since Dunk and Egg will be traveling up north to Winterfell in George R.R. Martin's upcoming novel, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, many have begun to wonder about Hodor's lineage. Evidence from that journey suggests that Sir Duncan the Tall had an affair with Old Nan. If true, they would have been Hodor's great-grandparents. Fans of Game of Thrones may recall Old Nan as the character who tells Bran scary stories of the Long Night in Season 1. In the books, Bran sees Old Nan as a young woman riding a tall knight in a green scythe. Her identity as Hodor's great-grandmother has already been established, and throughout the events of Game of Thrones, Sir Duncan the Tall is known to have living descendants in Westeros. Number 9. Melisandre's age, Aegon's conquest. A surprising departure from the books was the revelation of Melisandre's age in Game of Thrones, which sparked rumors that she would make brief appearances in a number of prequels. Although showrunner David Benioff did not disclose her actual age, he did say that she is several centuries old. It could make sense to link this to Melisandre, given how House of the Dragon first presented the concept of Aegon the Conqueror's Long Night prophecy. Number 8. The Spiral Symbols, untitled Jon Snow spin-off. The White Walker's spiral symbols remain one of the most puzzling unanswered riddles in Game of Thrones. The first was presented in the prologue of the first season, and more were scattered throughout the program. The White Walkers were slain, and the Night King was defeated, but the significance of these emblems were never revealed. The Jon Snow spin-off might go deeper into the history of the White Walkers. The symbols evoke mystery, although further explanation of the White Walkers' actions is needed, given their generally dreadful performance in Game of Thrones. Number 7. The Prince That Was Promised, untitled Jon Snow spin-off. The Azor Ahai prophecy was one of the most fascinating Game of Thrones theories for many years to come up with. With a flaming sword in hand, Azor Ahai, also known as the Prince That Was Promised, was supposed to be a renowned warrior who would defeat evil. Rhaegar Targaryen thought of himself as Azor Ahai before the events of Game of Thrones. After his passing, fans discovered methods to connect almost every character from Game of Thrones to the prophecy, suggesting that it might be any character. Number 6. The Three-Eyed Raven could have been a Targaryen, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Hedge Knight. The origin of the Three-Eyed Raven was an unproven literature notion that the Game of Thrones never even attempted to investigate. The identity of the character in the book version is unknown. Number 5. The Land of Always Winter, untitled Jon Snow spin-off. In Game of Thrones, the region north of the Wall is among the most brutal, but there is one place in particular where even wildlings cannot live. Number 4. Do people in Yi Ti know about Westeros? 9 Voyages. Because Yi Ti is located farther east in Essos than any of the show's characters have ever traveled, it is never discussed or explored in Game of Thrones. The area, which is based roughly on Imperial China, would be explored animatedly in the Golden Empire show. But 9 Voyages, which would trace Corlys Velarion's travels, may have a direct connection to Westeros and the Game of Thrones. Number 3. Can every Stark child warg? Untitled Jon Snow spin-off. Bran isn't the only Stark brother with warg skills in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire novels. Whether they acknowledge it or not, every Stark member possesses the power to warg. Given that wargs are more prevalent among wildlings, it would be intriguing to see Jon Snow's character evolve more in the sequel. We might also investigate Arya and Sansa's warging powers if they show up. Number 2. How Grayscale started, 10,000 ships. a fictional illness called grayscale is a major plot point in Game of Thrones. It is prominently obtained by Jorah Mormont in Season 5, and Shireen Baratheon wears it the entire time. Its roots, strangely enough, are found in the Tale of 10,000 Ships. After being captured in battle, Prince Garin the Great cursed his enemies and summoned a dense fog that gave his opponents a grayscale appearance. This is the first documented case of the sickness. However, according to the book A World of Ice and Fire, this is primarily a myth. Therefore, scientific research into the disease's true cause might be conducted. Number 1. Masters killed the dragons. House of the Dragon. Throughout the first season of House of the Dragon, many viewers questioned the Masters' involvement because they thought they were subtly poisoning King Viserys. According to a different narrative, the House of the Dragon Masters bears some of the blame for the demise of Westeros' surviving dragon population. Naturally, the impending Targaryen civil war will do much of that job for themselves. But the Masters' real purpose is thought to be the desire to establish a rational, scientific power in Westeros that mythological animals will not subjugate. With a few notable exceptions like Luwin and Aemon, the Masters in Game of Thrones have mostly been self-serving individuals. The Maesters hold far more sway over the governing monarchs in the world devoid of dragon power. Furthermore, their past disputes with the House of Targaryen would motivate them to pull strings and pit Targaryens against one another. This would be a great hypothesis to see come to pass in House of the Dragon, giving the Masters and the Civil War more nuance. There exist multiple confirmed theories regarding the original Game of Thrones series, and there are plans to produce multiple spin-offs. With fans' imaginations eventually surpassing the finale's complexity, the controversial Game of Thrones ending left much to be desired. After nearly a decade of rigorous theory crafting, House of the Dragon is continuing strong, has already established a clear connection to Game of Thrones, and may yet provide additional answers. There are answers to concerns concerning Westeros before Game of Thrones can be found in Aegon's Conquest, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and 10,000 Ships. Unanswered questions about Game of Thrones may be excitedly resolved by the spin-off Jon Snow. Finally, 9 Voyages and the Golden Empire may provide answers to queries concerning the larger universe. What do you think of these theories? Do you have anything to add to these speculations? Tell us in the comments below. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay updated with more great content like this, subscribe to the channel. Until next time.